And this verse was, again he comes back, Agni, because there were two verses dedicated to Agni suddenly in the middle of Savitar hymn. There was a previous one and this one. Both of them are very interesting. Let me look into this previous one to have a coherent. So this one, which was very mysterious. Nanau considuriu Vishvamayuh, Vitisthate Prabhavach Shoko Agnech, Jyeshtham Mata Sunave Bhagam Adhat, Anu Asya Ketam, Anvasya Ketam Ishitam Savitra. So the flame of Agni, Shokach Agnech, breaking through the darkness, Vitisthate, and Prabhavach, breaking through, kind of spreading wide, and Prabhavach very powerfully moving forward in his violent march forward, spreads all over the universal life, Vishvamayu, or spreads as universal life, various dwelling places, Nanau can see. The mother establishes for her son, Mata Sunave, the best portion of delight, Jyeshtham Bhagam Adhat. And accordingly, the consciousness is sent by the Lord Savitar, Anu Asya Ketam Ishitam Savitra. And that's what is interesting. So, in accordance with that Bhaga, Savitar gives his consciousness to the being. So to say, Savitar is like the answer to the call of our soul. Our soul is invoking, which is this best portion of the mother within us. And Savitar gives, in accordance to that calling and that need, the consciousness. He provides the ketam, the vision. Or consciousness is better to say, from root chi. And then next, Samavavarti Vishtito Jigishuh Vishvesham Kamach Charatam Amabhut. Again he comes back, Agni comes back, opening wide, desiring victory. Within all moving beings, he has become the desire. Vishvesham Charatam, of all the moving beings, he Abhut Kamach. Having left the imperfect work, hitvi vikritam apas, constant Shashvan in his aspiration, he moves ahead. Agat, so he comes following the Lord of the Divine Savitar, following the law of the Divine Savitar. Anuvratam Savituh Daividasya. So he follows the rotation or the law. Vrata is from rotating, so to say, the path, the law, the habitual track, the groove of the Lord of the Divine Savitar. Here I had some insights. I started to change the text. Agni follows Savitar in his movement, leaving unfinished his work, and imperfect, for it cannot be finished at once. That's what I was typing. One has to build all the planes from bottom up in layers, as it were, layer upon layer. So the evolutionary process is taking place in cycles, as it were. At first, Agni works as karma, spreading all over in all the beings, desiring to conquer, but moving upward to the higher planes of consciousness, he becomes a pure flame without a smoke. And this is the path of Savitar. So Agni has to undergo this path many times. That's why he drops the unfinished imperfect work and follows the Savitar again and again until the layer upon layer, all the planes are covered with his movement. And by this movement, he actually builds the evolutionary process. So it doesn't go linear way. It goes in cycles, as it were. And this is also a very interesting insight, which I didn't have before. I added it here.
Question.
Yes.
What happens to the unfinished work?
Unfinished work means that he is not, once he comes to some work, that he doesn't become stuck to it and moves nowhere. He cannot finish it, he has to leave it and has to go away to some other work and leave it unfinished again and again and again and come back to that unfinished again. And that's why it is said he comes back and again he comes back and again he comes back. So this is how the work will be finished.
Oh, it gets finished eventually through the cycles.
Exactly, but not in one go. So the idea is that he cannot really, come to this thing and finish it and then take another thing and finish it. It doesn't work that way. It is the whole spectrum, all the layers are finished at once. Yeah, so he leaves unfinished work on all the layers, and again, it's like painting over again and again. Yeah?
That's why it takes so long, I guess.
Yes, and that's why we don't see this linear way of evolution, and that's confusing us. It would be much easier to finish one thing and then to take another, but it won't be possible because you can't finish one and make it divine and perfect where others are in darkness and imperfection. It doesn't work that way. And somewhere, actually, Mother explains this. When you come to the physical evolution, it is becoming impossible to achieve the divine realization in one separate being. Yeah? So it is as if we are all connected. Yeah? And to finish and to become divine in the physical being, you have to become divine in all physical beings. This is the only way to become divine on the physical plane. So this is the big challenge. That's what she's. You can do it on the mental plane. You can do it on the vital plane. You can really perfect them, but you can't do it on the physical. Physical is somehow rooted into the inconscient. It is that crux or that connection to the inconscient, that transformation station, which will not permit the divine achievement or realization without everybody and everything to become the divine. So in that sense, one must leave it unfinished, imperfect, and go on and come back and go on. So there is some kind of mystery of this process of evolution.
Vladimir?
Yes.
I noticed up above that the term vrit or vritti came up. And it just struck me that this idea of the cycles is the very nature that of the mind, which is described always in those terms, in terms of vritti of the mind in yoga, for example, that it is always moving in a cyclical fashion, like a whirlpool, and that consciousness is often described in that way because we come back to something, even though it may appear that an idea comes quickly, it actually has come by cycling into it again, again, and again. And it seems that our mind and our very consciousness is made in that whirlpool or cyclical fashion.
Mm. Mm.
I think it's the nature of everything.
Correct. Even the universe and our solar system and our Earth and all the relations, yes, we are evolving in this way. We have to come back. We cannot finish it in one go. This is again about this verse that he leaves it unfinished. It works differently. It works holistically. Unless everything is finished, and nothing is done. Sri Aurobindo in his Savitar uses very similar. Only half God's cosmic work is done. This again half, similar to the hymn of Savitar, only no has neared and stared into thy eyes and killed thy heart. This no, the darkness. But where is the lover's everlasting yes? This kind of affirmation of the divine was never achieved in this physical universe. We could achieve only this negation or this particular kind of neti is our approach. We cannot affirm the divine presence in absolute sense because it is not that. So here is our dilemma, that we have to leave it every time and to come back to it and leave and come back until it is done.
So are we all evolving as a group then of souls that are evolving in any given time together?
I think so. Yeah, we are the group soul. According to the Veda, we represent this group soul, and the rishis of the Veda, these very rishis we are reading now, they are our representatives of this group soul, of our decision. And they are giving us the picture or the vision for our group soul to remember what we came to do. At the beginning of each Manvantara, the set of rishis come, these avatars, they descend, they have, so to say, full awareness of the higher plane. They are not losing that contact with the higher knowledge. And they bring this vision and establish here in terms of the Veda or knowledge why the Veda was so important for Indian civilization. Why it was so important that Brahmins had to learn it by heart, dedicate to this learning 25 years of their life, over the many generations, over thousands and thousands of years. What is there in this Veda that is so important that every Brahmin has to take this text and learn it by heart and pass it to the next generation? And with such rigorous precision of the accent of everything. It's really a big question. So the tradition knew that the text is so important because this is the matrix or some kind of the intention of the group soul, which has to be followed in some way. It's not only some kind of magic word. It is not only about sounding of the mantra. It is about the meaning of it, the message, the knowledge. And this knowledge was never recovered, as you know. You just take any tradition, you will see that hardly anybody, maybe only few people really took this trouble to look into it. And what we are doing here is nearly close to impossible. We are trying to recover that knowledge. Anyhow, it's good to to try to do it.
Can I add a thought I've had about the Vedas and Jyeshta in particular, the eldest, and to me it makes me wonder if the Agni and other names of this tradition around the fire is our oldest common human religion. If you realize we, according to scientists, we have ancestors, hundreds of thousands of years of gathering around fires. And we have no way of knowing what they were sharing or what they were learning, or the depths of insight. So to me, when the degree of importance of the Vedas is perhaps that it really is that ancient.
Yeah, well, it is ancient. We know that it is ancient, and of course, Western scientists, they could try to date it to some kind of, very artificial way of measuring, because nobody can measure this text, because it is, you cannot find it written in time and analyze the substance of the manuscript and say it belongs to that year. It would be easy if it would be in manuscript form, but it is an oral tradition which was passed by completely different means, so one cannot really analyze and tell to what time it belongs. Different scholars date it to different, for example, Gonda speaks about 4500 BC. Tilak, Gangadhar Tilak, in his analysis of Arctic home, the home of Aryans, he has a book. He takes Taittiriya's Samhita text where there are constellations mentioned. So he takes that particular constellation that, and maybe for you would be interesting to look into it, and he dates it to 6000 BC, because that particular way of coming together of the stars and constellations was only in 6000 BC. So that is his proof of the time. He says, well, the text speaks about that particular event in the sky, so you can really see it only in this time. If Taittiriya Samhita can be dated 6000 BC, then Rigveda can be much older than 6000 BC. Because Taittiriya refers to Rigveda all the time. Yeah? And Rigveda never refers to Taittiriya. Taittiriya is the next stage. But interestingly, that to look at it as the intention of the group soul, which was recorded by the avatars, or our best representatives of this group soul, who bring, according to Indian tradition, this knowledge at the beginning of Manvantara. It's as if a plan or a vision of what we are here to accomplish, to achieve, what kind of transformation or what kind of relations of our inner being with nature we have to get, or what knowledge we have to keep in order to go on and do our work. And then at the end of each Manvantara, the darkness thickens and becomes more and more impenetrable. There are more and more difficulties piling up, which we were not prepared to meet, to face, and to transform. So at the end of Manvantara, the group soul withdraws, so to say. It is similar to the individual who dies at the end of his life. because the physical body is not responding anymore to the spirit with the flexibility and energy necessary. So it becomes more and more crust, kind of dead on the surface. So death is nothing but that, becoming less and less flexible and receptive and responding to the spirit. So, and then death takes over. That means that the body is no more responding. It is the life force cannot go through it. The same with Manvantaras. At the end of Manvantara, the piling of the difficulties in Kali Yuga is so thick and so great. The inconscient brings new challenges which were not envisioned by the group soul in this Manvantara at the beginning. So, in the end of Kali Yuga, the group soul reviews everything what comes in, all those impossibilities, and then withdraws, makes new plan, new intention in the subtle world somewhere there in the Pralaya time. And that new plan, new vision is a new Veda, which is coming down again with the rishis. So every time at the beginning of Manvantara, we have another plan for the group soul, another intention. So, and we are fulfilling it until new piling up of impossibilities coming from the inconscient, and again a new plan. And these are also cycles, as you see. We come and we work in cycles. We leave it half done, imperfectly finished, and we come to it again, and leave it again and come again, until it is done. All right, here in this verse is something much more difficult to interpret. And Sri Aurobindo, by the way, says that he translated only the most visible and the easiest parts of the Rigveda, which could be actually interpreted. He says that Rigveda goes so deep and is so profound in this knowledge, spiritual knowledge, that we do not have means or comprehension yet to really go so deep. So it will require much more than just, giving some keys and trying to understand with our minds. There is the whole different dimension of our existence is covered within these texts. Now this is one of those elements here which is very difficult to interpret. Tvaya hitam apiyam apsubhagam dhanva anu a mrigaya so vitasthu dhanva anu a mrigaya so vitasthu vanani vibhyo nakir asyatani vrata devasya savitur minanti. I am deconstructing text because there are sandhis and I have to undo sandhis to make rhythm flow. So that's why I reread it. So in the waters of being, you have established the watery portion of enjoyment. In the waters of being, you have established the watery portion of enjoyment, and all the seekers of delight move out, spreading through the desert in search of it. And for the bird souls, you have put enjoyment woods. None can diminish the establishments of the god Savitar. Let us go word by word. Maybe I will read. Two establishments of delight are mentioned here. It is the waters for all the beings seeking after the delight of existence in the desert, most probably unconscious body, unconscious being. And the second one in the woods as the embodiment of Soma in matter for the loftier beings, souls and probably other gods. One is for the desert body to seek its transformation by the divine rain of heaven, and the other is for the souls involved in search of their enjoyment. In the embodiment of the divine. In other words, one is for the growth of consciousness in the instrumentation of life, mind and body, which were untouched by the divine. And the other is for the growth of the soul in the body. It is very possible because there are two, and usually Rigveda is very structured in this knowledge. There will be always a holistic overview. Each verse tries to give a holistic view on things. So, by you, hitam established apiyam, the watery bhagam, delight, or portion of delight, apsu, in the waters. What is this apiyam? It can be translated also as watery portion of delight, or the portion of delight in making things, in action in the waters. Because uproot has two dimensions of water and the action, doing. Apas has two meanings, the work and the waters, with different accentuation, of course. So dhanva anu, and dhanva is this desert. In the desert, anu a. So according to the desert, following the desert, amarigaya sovitastu, the seekers or the moving on the paths, those who are seeking the delight, this delight established in the waters, they move through the desert. Actually, the Rishi is so interestingly using these upasargas. Look here, anu, a, vi, three upasargas and three prefixes, and one verb, tastu. They stand out widely onto and according, following. They are following, they are coming, and they are spreading. This is those who are seeking the delight. And for the birds, vibhyah, for those who fly or move all over, vanani. And vanani are forests. And in the forests, in the greenery, there is soma, which has to be extracted. This organic matter. Notice, in the first place, it is inorganic. It's a desert. There is a watery portion of delight in the desert, in the inorganic matter. But vanani is organic matter, greenery. And for them, for vibhyah, for those who fly, for most probably for loftier beings, I guess that souls, and for our mental and vital maybe selves, and gods, who are also mental and vital beings. He established vanani. Vanani are also the delights, from root van, to enjoy. Tadvanam in Kena Upanishad, if you remember, that delight. Vanam is the delight. So the delights he established in the organic matter for the loftier being. So there is the delight also in inorganic, in the desert somewhere. So in the unanimated matter. Nakih, nobody, asya, tani vratani, these rotations or these laws of the god Savitar Minanti can diminish, or literally can measure out. Nobody can measure these grooves of the Lord Savitar. There is no way that we can really comprehend them, or measure them out, or understand them, or conceive of them. Minanti from root mi, which is basically from root ma, from which we have this measuring out, or from here we have mitra, the divine consciousness, yeah, because the divine consciousness measures out all the elements of the infinite being, puts them into another form, manifests them. So nobody can really comprehend or understand or overview these grooves of the Lord Savitar. Yes?
So the waters of being, does that mean just consciousness?
The delight, yeah, the delight.
The waters of being.
Could be. I thought about delight more because Bhagam is used here.
Mm.
But of course, consciousness and delight and bliss go together. There is something about this. Yeah, here we have this kind of text which is, which is really difficult to interpret.
So which word are you translating as bird souls?
V. There is this V. I didn't put, I should have written this for you. It is a well-known word. We can read also Griffith's translation. Wild, you will see, wild beasts spread through desert places, seeking their watery share, which thou hast set in the waters. The woods are given to the birds. These statues of the god Savitar none disobeys. So here it's very close to this meaning, yeah? But we are putting totally different emphasis on these words. The texts are actually available on Google Drive. You can open them and see how Griffith translates them. And some of you who know Sanskrit, maybe it would be interesting. But the Sanskrit is not easy here. There is always something difficult. But this verse next is even more difficult. Yad radhyam varuno yonim apyam anishitam nimishi jarbhurana vishvo martando vratam apashurgat stasho janmani savita vyakah. Stirring constantly in the time of closing eyes, moves Varuna to his origin of primary waters. All those who sprung from this dead substance born in the body, so to say, and can see, come back to their home as a place of rest, according to the place they must occupy. Savitar shaped their kind. It's very brief. I try to be literal. Let us go through word by word. There is much here. This is one of those impossible to interpret. verses. So, Yadradhyam Varuno Yoni Maapyam comes or goes Varuna. Varuna goes to his watery yoni, to his watery origin. Anishitam Nimishi. Nimishi, in the time of the closing eyes, Jorbhurana, stirring, moving back and forth when the eyes are closed, or living or vibrating. Anishitam, constantly, without rest, unresting. Even with closed eyes, he moves or he lives, vibrates, returning or coming to his watery origin. Radhyam can be, which is to be realized. And these waters of Varuna, they are symbol of the divine being or divine existence. Sri Aurobindo says that Varuna represents the vastness and purity of the divine existence. So if we read this, that Varuna comes or moves within his, pure, vast waters of his origin, Yoni. Yoni is from root yu, to contain, in his container, if you will. No? And later, Yoni means also womb in which we are born, because it's also a container. And Vishwach Martandach, everyone who is born from dead, Marta Anda, egg, or dead embryo. So we are all the children of this Martanda, of the one Vivasvat, the Lord of the Sun, who was born here as the dead embryo, or we were born in the dead world, in the world which is not totally alive. This is the whole mystery of our life here, that we are alive, but we are not in totally alive world. We got this body which is not totally conscious, and we want to make it more and more conscious. So Vishwach Martandach, everyone who is born here in this physical body, Vrajam, Pashuch Gat, Agat, comes to Vraja, to the place of rest. Pashuch. Pashuch is the one who pashyati, who has consciousness, perception. Every being with perception comes to the place of rest. Stashach, and according to the state, to the station, to the place one must occupy, Savitar Janmani Viakach. Savitar is making or shaping our births. According to the place we must occupy, all of us, all the creatures, he shapes our births. He gives us the form of being. It's profound. Actually, it's the whole vision in one verse. But it's our mind is, my mind is not capable. I can feel only the opening spaces, even there. I cannot move into those spaces. I can see them from afar or something. But to go there, to dive into those spaces and to see it is really, there is no capacity of the mind.
Vladimir, a question.
Yes.
It seems that, at least one way that when we were reading this, you were reading it, I was seeing it, it seems that they are describing the cycle of karma that is here, that it is, in fact, this movement, that Savitar is responsible for the the intelligence that holds the order, that gives the order of creation in terms of living beings their place, to as if Savitar is also the very intelligence that guides, or that is the very net that makes up the karmic package, the cyclical nature of coming back and again. Does that seem, I mean, I don't know.
No,
Does that seem possible from this?
no, very possible. What you say is really, if the intuition is that if you look at this world and how many creatures there, how many forms, organic, inorganic, galaxies, people, creatures, animals, insects, you name it, just how many plants and everything gets its birth and shape and form in accordance to the place it must occupy. There is a consciousness involved in everything. Everything kind of is held together in a meaningful fashion. All things relate in a meaningful way, which produces life, which sustains life. Nature is conscious. We look at how nature works. It's amazing. Everything is taken care of within. So who really made all that possible? So according to the Vedic creatures, this is the Savitar, or who according to the place the creatures must occupy, gives them a shape, body, and birth, an entry to this world. He makes them, he shapes them into that shape which has to be functional to all other beings, and connects to them in a meaningful and coherent fashion. And everybody knows how to be. This is the biggest puzzle for me. Everything knows how to be, birds know where to fly, how to nest, how to... Everybody is busy and knows how to continue. Incredible. Even things which are not living, they know. The stones know how to be stones. They are not deviating from their, stonehood. They stay stones. They're not kind of, water knows how to be water. Fire knows how to be fire. Everybody fulfills their vratan, their law of existence, which they got from the god Savitar. Just think for a second how profoundly it is arranged. Why should it be like this? Why should everybody, follow their own law? What is this? Where is this power is coming from?
I don't know. The thought just ran through my mind that, is it not that all of us are what creates Savitar, as opposed to the other way around?
Well, that is, one can say so, that of course we are the creators of everything what is being created here, and that is his Janmani, which he shapes in us in accordance to the place we must occupy. So here we are. Yeah, I like the thought that we are co-creators, because it is so, actually. It is a constant engagement of consciousness which makes everything possible and shapes everything in this meaningful fashion. And that is Savitar within us, yes, which we create also, as you say. I don't see the difference who creates who in this case, because there is a creative force within us which we recognize as him. So for our consciousness, we name that force as Savitar. all the names of the gods are these functions of one divinity in the manifestation. Yes? So we name them by these names because they do these things. Somebody else wants to say something. I can hear. But here there is more. If you want to say, please say it now before we go to the more.
It seems to me, I'm thinking that the closing of the eyes implies turning the awareness away from the outer dimension and moves this vast consciousness to the origin of primary waters, which is that innermost expanse of unbounded awareness. And so it's describing a cycle to me, and at least as it suggests to me that this is a description of the moving of consciousness away from just outer referral to an inner referral, which is more original, which is more pure, which is more vast, and more truthful.
Very nice. I also think so. This is a transcendental experience of where Varuna, the perception or consciousness refers to the original divine existence. In the time of the closing eyes, he is stirring within, stirring constantly. And there is no stopping. There is no stopping of life when there is no perception outside. And moves to his primary waters. And all our souls are also undergoing that movement and rest, even when we sleep. Where do we go? Why do we have to sleep? What is happening to us when we sleep, really? Why all of us sleep?
Repair.
Yeah, we do something. Do we know what we do, really? Does anybody know anything about it? Except, of course, we have some dreams, visions, some intuitions, and so on, but that is not all the time. It is just a very short period of time of all that 8 hours sleep. Where do we spend all those hours? So this Nimishi, in the time of the closing eyes, Varuna is not sleeping.
But if you can, if there's vision, if there's the Pasha, I guess, they come back to their primordial home, which is the self.
Correct. Absolutely.
They come back to the self.
Absolutely. And that's what Mother says, even that sometimes we don't need long sleep. We need very deep sleep, going to that origin, to touch that origin for some 15 minutes. And that is enough rest. Yeah. But we are searching that way to that origin, to touch it and to rest. We need that touch, inner touch. That's why we sleep. We are seeking to reconnect, to recharge our inner batteries. I think this verse is something about that. In the time of closing eyes, yes, the Varuna is not resting. There is no rest for him. There is a movement constant.
Well, Varuna is rest.
Varuna is the all-enveloping sky. It is our foundation of our being. And everybody who is born here in the physical body comes to that resting place, Vrajan, to that stove in which we can finally relax. Every creature who has consciousness, Pashu, Agat, comes to Vrajan, who is born here in the physical body, Martanda, everyone, Vishvaha. Now look how beautiful it is. Animals also sleep. They also reconnect with some truth of their existence, their divine existence, truth of their divine existence. And Savitar, according to that place, shapes us here in this manifestation, gives us birth here. It's profound. There is another occult dimension within. You know? There is not only outward, but inner dimension, inner relations. So,
You know, Vlad, it is said that the miracle of rejuvenation only happens when the overt personality disappears in sleep. Basically, when we're gone, then the body can heal itself and rejuvenate itself.
yeah, interesting.
Get out of your own way.
Yeah. So this is the only time where that has become distorted. The ahankara that has become distorted, and it goes to the background, and then our instinctual nature takes over.
Right, and we reconnect with some, source of our, the origin of our existence, this Varuna's yonim apya, which heals all the body and vital and mind. Everything is being healed, tuned again to this divine purpose and existence.
Yeah, because all of the waters are still moving within us. Our blood, the urine, the feces, all of the waters are still moving within us, even though we seem to be inert.
Interesting, yeah, it could be Jarbhorana. It stirs, it moves, it doesn't really stop. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, we can maybe stop here today. But this is really, this verse, when I discovered, I thought, wow, this is another dimension of. So it is a description of the creatures as the souls living in the darkness who cannot totally constantly stay awake. For they dwell in the material body made out of darkness. They need to take rest in the Vraja, stall, place of rest, where they can find temporarily refuge from the forces of inconscient. This is also a very important addition of thinking. So Savitar makes for everyone a place for this purpose, shaping their birth and their kind according to the place they must occupy in this manifestation of the divine in the darkness. The fact that we must sleep and reconnect with the source of our innermost being every night is a proof of this supreme arrangement.
Beautiful.
There are, profound thoughts coming from these hymns. Good. And then we stop here for today. Yeah. If somebody wants to make some comments, observations, please.
Very hard to know anything extra to add at this point. It's wonderful.
Right. All right. We stop here. Next time I will be in Delhi, but we will reconnect because it's 10 o'clock, so it is okay at 9:30, so I will be available. I am going for the conference to Delhi for 3 days. All right. Om Vang me manasi pratishthetha mano me vachi pratishthethan aviravirmaedhi vedasyama anistha shrutam me ma prahasihi anena dhitena horatran samdadhan ritam vadishyami satyam vadishyami tanmamavatu tadvaktaramavatu avatu mam avatu vaktaram avatu vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti. Shanti.
Thank you so much, Vladimir.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you, Vladimir. Safe travels.
Yes.
Love.
Bye.
Good.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.